Hello friends, it's Dr. John WorldPeace JD. Today's June the 6th. Coming to you from Albuquerque, New Mexico. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon. This is going to be the third installment, if you will, of what is going to be 4 or 5 regarding my conflict with the Pulitzer Poetry Prize, which has been going on since 2019, in truth. So I've got a lot to say here. This video may be 30 minutes, and a lot of it I'm just going to read. So let's get started. This is about the difference between me, Dr. John WorldPeace JD, the global advocate for peace and world peace, and Lee Bollinger, who's president of Columbia University and head of the board of the Pulitzer Prizes. So it's titled Metrics of Dr. John WorldPeace JD and Lee Carroll Bollinger, president of Columbia University, Pulitzer and the Pulitzer Poetry Prize. This post is related to 2 other posts regarding the Pulitzer Poetry Prize, which were created on the 4th and 5th, 2 days ago. Lee Bollinger was born April 30th, 1946. He's had 1 wife. He's got a son and daughter. He's got a BS in political science, University of Oregon, 1968. Columbia Law School graduate, 1971. No military service. Career professor and president of University of Michigan and president of Columbia University, 1996 to the present. Multimillionaire Catholic. My name is Dr. John WorldPeace JD, born April 24th, 1948, almost exactly 2 years after Mr. Bollinger. 1 wife, or wife 1, in which I had 3 sons and a daughter, and 4 other significant female relationships. I am presently single and celibate by choice since 2015. I have a BA in political science, University of Houston, 1970. Bachelor of Accountancy, University of Houston, 1978. Doctor of Jurisprudence, University of Houston, 1984. Both Mr. Bollinger and I, President Bollinger and I, have political science degree, bachelor's, and law degrees. I worked full-time through all 10 years of college. He did not. The U.S. Army, I was a U.S. Army Infantry Sergeant, 1970 to 72, right after college. I ran for governor of Texas in 2002 as a Democrat. I was a political prisoner in 2008. I became a Mason in 1975, same as many of the founding fathers of the United States. My military lineage goes back to Sergeant William Roundtree, Continental Army. 2 grandfathers in the Civil War, one from Mississippi, a surgeon, and one a private from Georgia, who served 4 years and survived. My father was a World War II staff sergeant. My 3 sons served in the Marine Corps. My grandson served in the Army. I have been self-employed since 1972 to the present in insurance, accounting, tax, law, and web design. Artist since 1962, poet since 1970. I've written 8,000 poems. I have 110 books. My website is Dr. John WorldPeace JD, poetry.com. I was a Mensan became a Mensan in 1970. I'm the only global advocate for peace and world peace, and the only advocate for Jesus Christ, per John 14:25. I'm the author of the Third Millennium, Second Reformation of Christianity, and 20 other books on peace and other various subjects. I reinterpreted the Hindu Bhagavad Gita, the Buddhist Dhammapada, the Tao Te Ching, the Analects of Confucius in 1993. I've been a minimalist since 2011, virtually no assets by choice. Raised Presbyterian, but I'm not a religionist of any stripe, but a spiritualist. I combined the Gospels of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and Thomas into one text, and that's on my website, and it's referenced below in the notes. My flagship website is johnworldpeace.com. There's 18,000 pages there. I legally changed my name to John WorldPeace April 1, 1988, after my first divorce and a few weeks before turning 40, as a commitment to increasing the peace in the world human society. One man, one message, world peace. No membership, had no membership in anything since 1988. I'm a high energy, high IQ polymath with equally developed left and right sides of my brain. Means I can do math and I can do art. I have no peers. I'm a never Trumper, and you can see my attitude about Trump on Impeach President Trump USA.com. You will notice that President Bollinger and myself are 2 years apart in age. He was born in 46. I was born in 1948. Both born in April. Both have political science and law degrees. Interesting. He has lived a life as a one-trick pony, bureaucrat. I've lived the life of an independent polymath. Now here are the global differences between the two of us. He has a long marriage. I've had 2 19-year marriages and 3 significant relationships with women. My first wife is mental and evil. My second wife was a person who just went around doing good. Both left me, as did the other 3. All these relationships were partnerships with definite goals, not love affairs. When the objectives were accomplished, we parted. Bollinger is a wealthy man. I have no assets of significance by choice and live a minimalist life alone. My first reach out to President Bollinger was in 2008. I realized that the world human society was in a non-sustainable chaos mode. I realized that incredibly not a single college or university in the world had a curriculum to teach peace. I reached out to hundreds of universities in the USA by mail and some in Europe to work with me to create a global Teach Peace curriculum leading to a BA, MA, PhD degree. No interest from anyone. President Bollinger maintained his herd mentality with all the rest of the university presidents in the world with regards to teaching peace. Astounding for a person who has spent most of his career in universities. So I set up a Teach Peace non-accredited curriculum to develop a full-blown curriculum in the future. So far, no interest, but I've not significantly advertised or promoted it. WorldPeaceTeachingPeace.com is the site. Why is there no interest in increasing the peace in the world human society? As the only global advocate for peace since April 1, 1988, I have found the truth is that people hate peace, and more so those who advocate peace. This is global. Why? The why is really simple. People hate change more than they hate peace. And increasing the level of peace in the world human society demands change. Homo sapiens sapiens are the results of a combination of the DNA of Earth's humans of some species and ET DNA. That basic human DNA was predatory and still is. There are many predatory ETs. This primal, elitist, exclusionary, predatory nature has morphed from global war to predatory capitalism, the only functional economic system that works in the world human society. Capitalism is the worship of money, and money is the god of the world human society, but not of the universal spiritual essence of God. My primary mantra is, how can we increase the level of peace in the world human society if we do not include everyone, all races, all religions, all nations, all genders in our vision of peace? We can't. World peace is all-inclusive and democratic, just like the United States, in theory. And this is rejected by every elitist, exclusionary organization on the planet. That is why I disengaged from every organization I was a member of when I changed my name in 1988. There are 8 entities that have the greatest influence in controlling the level of peace in the world human society: religions, governments, judicial systems, global corporations, universities, media and social media, Google, Meta, Amazon and YouTube, the United Nations, and peace organizations. I have formal and personal education and experience in the first 6. The majority of the world human society is made up of one-trick ponies who cannot wrap their head around the reasons for the dysfunction in the world human society. Now, the universities are relevant to this commentary, and you can see that at World Peace Teaching Peace and in the below PDF regarding what I'm reading to you now. This is my solicitation of the major USA universities to teach peace. President Bollinger, as president of Columbia, was personally sent a letter by me years ago about establishing a Teach Peace curriculum. I received no response from anybody, but particularly Mr. Bollinger. Well, the reason's very simple. The radical right, as we all know, is trying to dummy down education in order to maintain the majority of humans as economic slaves. Every university is run by a board who manages their university through a president administrator. Now, if that president advocated a course in teaching peace, there would immediately be civil war within the board. The faculty, the students, as to what is to be taught. You can already see that going on right now in Florida and Texas and other places. We see the beginning of these discussions every day in the news regarding banning books, don't say gay, critical race theory, etc. So President Bollinger wants to keep his job, so he refuses to even talk about a Teach Peace curriculum, knowing that's the only path to increasing the peace in the world human society. And consequently, President Bollinger and I are on opposing sides of the Teach Peace issues in universities. The solution to this resistance is really simple. I have set up an independent website to teach peace and create a curriculum, and the universities now need to mandate and give 3 to 6 credits for students attending my Teach Peace curriculum. I'll be able to create a full discussion about increasing the peace in the world human society, and the universities can keep their internal peace because they won't have to argue about curriculum. I'm advocating teaching peace, and President Bollinger refuses to bring it up at Columbia or anywhere else. Second, President Bollinger also heads the board for awarding the Pulitzer Prizes. Here I'm only interested in the Pulitzer Poetry Prize. President Bollinger has refused to force the reading of my mega submissions for the prize, and you can see my 2 prior YouTube videos. I've submitted 3 out of the last 4 years, about 1,200 pages each time. Again, that's in the prior videos, and they are listed in the PDF below. President Bollinger has also been part of morphing the Pulitzer Prize into a Queer Nation Prize over the 4 years since I began to participate. This is simply crazy. 90% of Americans are not LGBTQ Queer Nation, so why is the Queer Nation tail wagging the Pulitzer Poetry Prize? Dog. Third, President Bollinger is a Catholic. As a Catholic, he supports a corrupt pope who is an abomination to God for his undeniable enabling of pedophile priests that daily destroy the lives of young men. The Pope is an unindicted criminal with regards to enabling the centuries-old pedophilia that exists in the Catholic Church. In addition, the Pope is a misogynist in his demand to keep women globally as second-class citizens, as exhibited by the refusal to allow women to be Catholic priests. Jesus said in heaven there's no gender when asked whose wife would a woman be who had 7 husbands. Jesus said in heaven you have no gender, you have an angelic body. Matthew 20:30. Why? Because only God makes souls. Gender is only necessary in the earth dreamscape to create new bodies for souls to inhabit. Women and men do not exist in spiritual bodies. All humans are spiritual. The Earth dreamscape is about physical human bodies. Just because some souls agree to incarnate as women and sustain the human race does not mean their innate spirits are less than those of men. President Bollinger supports pedophiles in the Catholic Church and the subordination of women in the Church and the world human society. I support neither because both decrease the level of peace in the world human society. Fourth, Israel is an apartheid state. It's a fascist state. It is a clone of Nazi Germany in its intense hatred for Palestinian Muslims. There are 53 Palestinian refugee camps in the Middle East since 1945. The Zionists maintain a concentration camp in Gaza. The Zionists are ethnically cleansing Palestinians from Palestine. There is a right of return globally for Jews into Israel, but no right of return for Palestinians, which the Jews have driven out. The UN declares that all human beings have a right to citizenship, but this is not applied to the Palestinians for 70 years since World War II. The U.S. is supporting the apartheid postage stamp nation of Zion. Again, the Zionist tail is wagging the American dog. I'm not against Jews. I'm against Zionists, the right-wing extreme Jews. I have nothing against Americans, but I'm against Americans who are radical right racists. I have nothing against Germans, but I'm against neo-Nazis. President Bollinger supports Zionists and in his position as President of Colombia decreases the level of peace in the world human society by supporting Zionism. Fifth, I assert that President Bollinger's position on the queer nation dominance of the Pulitzer Poetry Prize is related to his support of the Pope enabling pedophile priests. And let me add this. In the practice of law, there's a huge elephant in the room. It is the priests who use convents as brothels. Don't tell me it doesn't happen. Don't tell me it's not going on right this minute. It's just a matter of time when this issue comes out of the box. So there it is. President Bollinger has made every effort to stop the recognition of my poetry for Pulitzer Poetry Prize because he's against my world peace agenda, which opposes his above support for issues that decrease the peace in the world human society. So, there it is. That's a comparison between myself and President Bollinger. It's bled over into the Pulitzer Poetry Prize. Columbia University was awarded custodianship of the Pulitzer Prize when it was set up in 1917. President Bollinger personally, and in his position, more so in his position as president of the Pulitzer Prize organization, is decreasing the peace in the world human society. We are contra each other. It's interesting, we were born within 2 years of each other. Both have political science degrees, both have law degrees. But my outlook on life and my agenda in life is about world peace and increasing the peace. And his outlook is to maintain the status quo, don't change anything, even though it's causing trauma globally, which we're all now experiencing. The current activities in the world human society are not sustainable. We're burning down the earth. These fools, these right Republicans, are trying to turn back the clock from a all-inclusive America to the radical racist core of the southeastern states of the United States. They're trying to turn back the times into the 60s when George Wallace was blocking any kind of advancement for colored people. After the Civil War and slavery was banned, the KKK took over in all kinds of ways to make blacks still subordinate took place. And then in the 60s, when the KKK went underground, all of the same policies are there. The blacks were making great progress in the 60s with Martin Luther King until he was killed. And when that happened, the movement kind of stopped. We got a lot of problems in the world, and I am the self-appointed only global advocate for peace and world peace. There's a lot of peace organizations, but basically when you set up an organization, then you have conflict between organizations. I've experienced this for 33 years. No, you join us. No, you join us. Forget that. So something's got to change. The universities have to start teaching peace, and these peace groups have got to acknowledge one person that kind of speak for everybody, and there's nobody else but me to do that. Nobody has the experience, nobody has the knowledge, personal or education. I'm the one. I stood up 33 years ago, and I'm still standing. I'm 75 years old now and still in good health, and still very passionate and eager to move forward. Thanks for your consideration. Have a good day.